Vladimir, this probably isn't the right Zoom. If you've got this from the delivery group call, you probably want to be in the system one. Let me just ping you a.
Yeah, let me check. Sorry.
You're welcome to join us, of course, but I
Sure,
know
yes.
these run at the same time, so you probably want to be.
I have a 3 in a row, and I just picked the random one, so I will check.
In Slack. So welcome. This is 30th November. This is our EMEA Americas timed orchestration demo. And we are a little bit light on people today, but we do have some stuff on the agenda, so we will see how we go. So I didn't remember to ask Graham this before he signed off for the day, but I know it's sort of in progress. I don't know if we've got an answer yet on the packages, but hopefully we'll hear tomorrow whether we need to. Really, that was just interesting on a, is there going to be more work uncovered versus it's not blocking us right now, but it'd be nice to know if we're going to need to do more work. So we'll see what Graham comes back with there. Steve was also planning to give us a demo, but he is out sick. So that's a shame, but we can catch up on that another time. Was there anything else? Was there anything you wanted to demo today, Matt?
Not demo as such, but I was definitely going to give an update as to.
I can't hear you. Is it
I
me?
can. So it's on you, Amy.
Sorry. Keep going. Let me play my song.
Okay. All good.
All good.
Cool. Not so much a demo, but I was going to give a quick update as to the progress of standing up some of the basic infrastructure for the release environments cluster, which I can talk about now if it's an applicable time. So essentially I've got an MR up at the moment that has all the Terraform set to spin up the actual Kubernetes cluster itself, to spin up the environment in, which is all relatively bare bones. It was going to be a little bit fuller to begin with, but I took the stance to keep it slimmed down, essentially because the environment is going to be long-standing and not just an ephemeral up and down kind of thing. We made the decision to stand up an additional Bastion host to make it easy to get into the environment, same we do with ops and all that kind of thing. The Bastion host therefore also requires additional chef roles in the release environment itself, like a base role as well as the role for the Bastion host. Skarbeck and I were having a little bit of back and forth on draft MR that I have up in the chef repo, and that we're not entirely sure that we're going to stick with like a generic base role because the environment itself is going to be very pared down. So we're kind of discussing on what the best option is going to be there. In all likelihood, we might scrap having a base role, because the whole idea of the base role is really just to sort of keep things dry and so we don't repeat ourselves over and over in sort of roles that build on top of the base, right? It's a very generic sort of concept. But we've actually already got like a bit of a singleton role in there already for the release instance that is running inside the existing release environment. So we might just repurpose that a little bit. It depends on kind of the effort involved. But at any rate, the Terraform itself is therefore a lot simpler. Doesn't include the Bastion at this point because we kind of want to work on getting the chef roles ironed out to make sure, because if we stand up the Bastion without the role, nothing's going to happen. It just won't provision. It'll just sit there empty and useless. So that's where we're at with that.
Do you know what next steps look like?
Yeah, so the next steps is Graham and Skarbeck are added as reviewers on the Terraform MR. I already had some of their input earlier on whilst it was still in work in progress phase. So as it exists right now, I'm not expecting there to be any drastic revisions. So that MR should hopefully go in by the end of the week, which means we should have the Terraform and the infrastructure stood up by the end of the week, which is good because then there's now a usable environment that you'll be able to access via the ops Bastion in lieu of having like a dedicated bastion for release. So, the public IP is whitelisted for ops basically, so you can still actually get in and interact with the cluster. And then we're going to be working on, so I'm working on the chef side of things so that we can send up a bastion. One other thing that I need to verify as well as the next step is making sure that we are peered, we have VPC peering with the ops account. It looks like we do in one direction, but I need to verify that it's also good back in the opposite direction, because that would enable, it's not like a super important thing, it's mostly to enable the use of what we have running in ops. So if we wanted to hook in monitoring or sentry or just any of those things. But the main next steps is infrastructure goes in, chef roles gets ironed out to spin up the bastion. But in the meantime, it's a usable cluster and a usable environment.
Excellent, great stuff. I do feel free to just spin out some extra issues for if there are like observability or things like that we should consider adding. Just drop an issue in, and we can always flesh it out later. So nice. Yeah. Okay, great stuff. Alessio, you have the next item.
Yeah, I do. So I was catching up on the blog post generation for the policy extension. Wanted to see how it ended up being implemented, if we could leverage this logic for the extension of bug fixes into the security release itself. So I was testing it basically, right? So the feature itself is designed as a standalone rig task, which is great because this will allow us to easily integrate that into the patch release as well. While I was looking, something came to my mind. That's why I'm a little digressing here with point 3b, because something that I noticed. So when we generate the blog post, even the regular one that we already have, there is this, I find a super annoying task to change the author to the name of the release manager that is generating this. And then someone puts his own Twitter handle, someone don't. And then you have to put your GitLab username. And then there are all the situation where this counts as an extra CI run. It takes time to change. That's it. Then there's an extra CI run. But then it also happens when we go over which day, for any reason, we don't release. So we move to the next day. Maybe the release manager in the other time zone is going to change it as well. And I was thinking, I don't take any real benefit or credit for having my name next to that blog post items. I don't even care particularly, but maybe someone does, right? But I was thinking, is there a way to just not have to touch the blog post and just merge it? So the screenshot here is from the link below, because basically it's a 3-line change in release tools in the template. And by the way, those URL are built, we can simply say that the author is delivery group release manager, whatever we like. Linking to, we need to have a link on gitlab.com. So I've put our delivery group, the group itself. So it links to the group page, because you can't put the full URL, just what goes after gitlab.com/. So we may put something there that it will be the URL on gitlab.com. And the Twitter one, the default is using the GitLab account. So I was thinking, maybe this is a simple change and we'll make one merge request less, one CI less every time we do a patch release. So I was hoping to discuss more the security thing of this, but yeah, using the same blog post. But I mean, this is still an improvement.
I think the Twitter one we could absolutely just standardize. I never put my own Twitter account on there. I always use the GitLab one. So I think that bit we could just lock in. The actual author name is an interesting one. I don't really know the history behind this, but from looking at the releases, like even the monthly release goes with an individual's names. So it seems very intentional, but I don't know. I don't know that anyone's ever gone back and reviewed it.
When we're doing manual stuff, I think so you're crafting the blog post. So in that case, the PMs working on the monthly may deserve the
it's
credit.
like a creative project.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. Yeah, we just
I didn't take any credit. I'm just running a CI script, right? So when it was manual and I had to go, I mean, that's the point. So this was manual at a point in time. So I had to scan through all the things that I merged, that I picked, and take links and review, formatting, editing. So I'll gladly take the credit for spending time in doing this, right? But this is just extra time for no reason. So I don't want to go there and put my name just for, yeah, I see no value. So that's why these are very aseptic. So there's nothing really there, right? So it's all generated. If we have to change it, I'm fully supportive of people just saying changing and putting their name. I have no problem with this. Just want to have a frictionless default approach to this when things goes say fine and we are in the happy part.
Yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, absolutely fully agree. And I think it's perfect timing, because the reason we've never really had answers on this before is we don't have a product manager, but now we do. So I would suggest that Fabian is the person to ask about whether, like, is anyone going to care about this? Like, is there someone we need to run this by, maybe marketing or somewhere like that? But otherwise, if not, then yeah, I think this sounds like a great idea. Like, I would love to remove as many of these manual steps for all the reasons you mentioned. So yeah.
Okay.
Nice. And just on like context around for Matt and also for this recording, around where we are sort of roughly in sort of timeline of these things. So we're right now focusing only on bug fixes and patch releases, but we are also thinking, like, we're also sort of thinking about improvements for the security release. And so with a bit of luck, if we get this process working well, we get all the environments in place, we get all the tools in place, then the sort of logical next step to follow up will be to see how much of this process we can add on to security releases to reduce release manager overhead. So that's kind of where it won't happen until we've finished our current OKRs, but I think it would be a very nice addition. Awesome. C is a little bit of an FYI. So I'm just sharing, Myra put together this super issue kind of running through the user experience for different users on different points around this process. Have a look, please take a little bit of time, have a read through it and add any questions or comments for all of us, but on that issue. Because I think if we can get the user experience right, then lots of other stuff will just fall into place. So if you do have suggestions on things that might be confusing or we could probably improve, then please do make them on that issue as well. Excellent. Is there any other stuff that we should talk about? No. We'll be a little bit slower on progress over the next, say, week or so. So Steve is looking at the managed versioning issue for pages. Myra is out until sort of this time next week. Matt, you have some time out coming up next week. So things won't necessarily progress at the pace they have been, but we can hopefully keep things moving along, keep each other unblocked, so that we can still keep pushing through December. Excellent. Any questions, comments, anything else to mention? No? Okay, in which case,